Let you know, man, you are really encouraging me, motivating me, inspiring me. God is really using you to help me up.
What's going on, family? You guys are so amazing. I'm Mr. AOS Inspires. This is AOS the Podcast, 5 minutes of motivation. I got to talk to y'all today. You already see the thumbnail. You already see all the action that's going on, right? The title. Oh, you want to start a podcast. Now, and the reason I came up with this topic, and the reason I drop on every Friday's motivation, 5 minutes of motivation, the reason I do that is because when you go into your weekend, most people, let's talk about the podcast space, most people start and launch their podcasts, you got it, over the weekend. I want you to launch with wisdom, right? I was talking to somebody that was like, listen, me and my friend, right? We're going to start a podcast. Cool. It's cool in the game. You and your friend want to start a podcast. I think that a lot of people don't really take into consideration before they start with somebody else being a business partner or going into joint venture with somebody else. I don't think that everybody looks at this aspect. Everybody doesn't have the same work ethic. Now, let me clear this up because I already know some of y'all be like, I seen some podcasts, they work together. Some people work together well. The reason it made me think about this because I look at so many podcasts that start together and fail because one partner had the work ethic, the other partner really didn't have the work ethic, right? Now, biggest thing that I want to talk to all podcasters, all content creators, everybody that does anything for social media, on social media, right? Don't get discouraged just because you don't get the engagement in the beginning. Especially when you don't know all the sauce, especially when you don't know about marketing or you don't know how to hire people to do things in your company or with your content to make it have a larger reach. Don't get discouraged. Now, three things in particular that I really want you to think about when you start a business with somebody or you start a podcast with somebody. That's what we're talking about today. When you start a podcast with somebody, think about this. How is their consistency level? Like, look at things that they do on a normal basis every single day. Like, you know them better than anything. How consistent are they with certain things in their life personally that nobody else is attached to? And they're not consistent, right? If they're consistently showing up late to certain things or they're consistently quitting, that should tell you everything that you need to know. Do I need to start a podcast with this person? All right, second one, the consistency. The second one, depending on what kind of podcast you're doing, right? How do they live their life? I'm gonna tell you this. There's some rappers, right, that some labels don't mess with. Why? Because they have such a crazy lifestyle that if I invest into them, I may lose my money because they may go to jail, they may die. Right? That's something that's real. Like, I need you to look at their lifestyle. Now, if you're doing like a motivation or inspirational thing where you want your image to look clean, look at the person that you're about to start a podcast with, right? It's not no judging, no shade, but this is something that you really need to take into consideration. Do they mirror what I'm trying to display or do they mirror what I want my brand to look like? Because the truth of the matter is, this podcasting space, you can really do real numbers. I'm telling you, you can really do real numbers. I know somebody personally that has just got a deal with McDonald's. 40 seconds on his podcast, 20 grand a month. Like, you can, and once you build this thing up, you can really do some real numbers. So do they mirror what I want my brand to look like? Or do they represent what I want my mission to look like? Do they represent that? Do they mirror that? If they don't, chances are you'll need to start a podcast with them. Third thing, are we in a line with the same vision? Right? Because some people will do podcasts and stay consistent as long as it blows up, but when it doesn't blow up, they step back. Or some people are just doing this thing for a hobby, right? And there's no shade. If you're doing it for a hobby, do your thing. This is fun. But some people take this thing seriously because this is the thing. When you start to be consistent and you start to jump on this thing every single week and people start expecting you every single week, they look forward to seeing what you have to say. And you're leading this people subconsciously. They wait for you to come on. right? And I tell people this every time as I come to a quick close: never underestimate your influence. Those are three things. Make sure that they mirror your brand that you want them to do, that you want your brand to represent. The second one, you want to make sure that they're going to be consistent. Third one, you want to make sure that they're not doing this thing just for a hobby, that they really take this thing seriously, because it's nothing worse than you're starting a podcast with somebody and people starting to love what you guys do and they fall off. Now you got to carry the load by yourself. There's a chance that you may succeed alone. There's a chance that you may not. Man, that's my 5 minutes. I love you guys. I'm out of here.